Welcome to the Shergroup podcast, where we share ideas on how to help businesses grow and prosper in the online world. Join host, Chief Shergroupie, Claire Sambrook, as she discusses her digital journey and how Shergroup is helping thousands to keep their business flowing and growing. Here on the Shergroupie podcast.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Shergroup on the Sofa. I hope wherever you are in the world today, you've got a little bit of sunshine and you've had a good week so far. I'm delighted today to introduce my special guest to you, Henry Veasley, and we're going to be talking all things credit. But before we get into our conversation, I'm just going to give a shout out to Shergroup's #1 fan, Mr. Ross Saunders, who is in Norwich, England, UK today. So, hey Ross, how are you? And I think Henry wants to give you a shout out as well.
Good morning, Ross. It's such a pleasure to have you watching. I'm so excited, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day today.
Okay, thanks for that, Henry. All right, so you are a collections guru. I can't think of another way. I mean, having reviewed your LinkedIn profile, my goodness, what an extensive resume you have. And we're so delighted that you're going to be speaking at the World Credit Congress in Orlando this fall. Can't wait to see you in action and hear the enthusiasm which you struck me the first time that we spoke. So really looking forward to our conversation today. So as a guru, have you been told you're a guru before? I'm sure you have.
I have some, I've heard that before a couple of times.
Good. So what do you make of the current overview of the landscape for collections management? And in your career, how's it evolved? What would you say about that?
So, uh, collections management is one of those areas of expertise where you really have to have a love for helping the people, right? Because having a group of collectors who are they are a singular type of human being. There's something special about collectors. They have this instinct and this drive to help consumers. And so one of the things that has changed, the basic fundamentals of management kind of remain the same, right? You want to be there to support your people, make sure they have the tools that they need. But technology has really impacted what we do. I think that's probably outside of consumer awareness increasing. I think that technology has probably had the biggest impact on what we do. We went from old clunky automated dialers to sophisticated systems that allow you to make multiple contacts with the debtor in the blink of an eye, right? And so what we do has become more efficient, it's become faster, but also along with that comes a constantly evolving regulatory environment as well. And so as consumers become more aware, the regulatory environment changes and kind of morphs into different things. As a manager, you have to be able to keep up with that. But the overview, the outlook is good. I believe that if we can attract, more collectors to come into the space and we can teach them how to do this the right way, we can have a major impact on the world finance situation, the situation that people are in with regard to debt and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's evolving due to technology, consumer awareness, and that regulatory environment that's constantly changing.
And in your experience, I mean, the regulatory environment, I think for people outside the United States, it's difficult to understand that you're actually dealing with effectively 50 jurisdictions within your own country, which would you say by and large they follow a pattern, or are there extreme examples of states which are out on their own in terms of regulatory environment? What would you say about that?
Well, I tell you what, it used to be kind of a Wild West type of situation long ago. But now I think that a lot of states are looking to each other for best practices. And on the whole, you're going to find debt collection to be pretty much the same in each of the 50 states, with some few exceptions.
Right.
Now, in the United States, we have attorney generals who are the watchdog and the consumer protector in each individual state. And so some attorney general's offices are much more strict when it comes to regulating the interaction of businesses with consumers. But outside of that, the laws are very similar, especially when it comes to litigation and the outcome of litigation. It's usually pretty much the same, with some minor exceptions about the extent to which you can go maybe to collect a judgment.
Okay, because obviously the Congress is international. So whilst we're based in the United States this year, we're interested to hear how Americans feel about their own system and how they navigate it,
Right.
in building their businesses. I mean, as part of the Congress community, we all are engaged in some aspect of credit. And what you say from your vantage point will work for a collector in London or a collector in South Africa, So what are your most effective strategies for improving collections, the management of collections, and then increasing recovery rates in today's unusual economic climate, as we're still post-COVID? Well, how do you tackle improving collections?
So that's a great question. I mean, look, I like to remember the old school ways. I like, it's like fundamentals with sports. If you practice the fundamentals over and over and over again, you just get really good at that, and there are opportunities for you to really be great based on that foundation. And so, while collections hasn't changed, the basics of what we do, contacting the consumer and helping them find a pathway to payment, hasn't changed much over the years. Like I told you when we talked before, my position as a manager and the way I see management, or my management style, is to manage from a position of support, right? To provide the tools that the collectors need in their toolbox to be able to make sure that they can be efficient and effective, right?
Yeah,
So, like I told you, I consider myself to kind of be like Q in the basement for James Bond. My collectors are all 007s, and they're out there trying to get the job done. And it's my responsibility to make sure that they have the tools that they need, to make sure they have everything that they could possibly have from a support standpoint and from a knowledge standpoint, to be able to overcome any obstacles that get in their way. And I think when you manage from that perspective, it gives your people the confidence to get the job done. And that's going to naturally raise your recovery rates.
yes, because you've got to have a certain type of personality to get into collections, haven't you?
Sure.
You
Sure.
know,
Yeah, it
are
takes a
you
special type of person.
are you good at spotting that? When you see new collectors, is there something you look for in them?
I'd like to think I've been pretty good at spotting it. I don't have a lot of turnover
Yeah,
in my group, but
yeah,
yeah, I think one of the things that is important for a collector to have is a certain level of inquisitiveness, a certain level of
yeah,
curiosity, right?
yes,
I'm always I always tune in closely when people start asking me questions, right? Because I'm a question kind of guy. I believe that any question that pops in your head should be asked and answered, right? And I also
yeah,
believe that the most effective way to solve problems, really, I think the only way to solve problems, is through the process of questions and answers. Each question leads to an answer, and when you run out of questions, you normally will find your solution. And so when I run across someone who's very inquisitive, who's very curious about what it is that we do, no matter how long they've been doing it, whether they're a rookie, brand new to the game, or if they've been doing it for 20 years, if a person is constantly asking questions, then they have that drive to improve and to become better and to become the best. And
yeah,
that's one of the biggest qualities I think that I like to look for when I'm trying to find someone to add to the team.
Yes,
Among all those other regular, a good team player, and they're punctual and respectful and all those things, but uh, a self-starter and all that. But I think that inquisitiveness is what draws me to a person the most.
I'm with you on that. I totally agree. So, be that inquisitive person if you're listening into this. So you talked earlier about technology and it transforming the collections industry. So what is that technology? What do you think that the tools are out there that collection companies should be adopting to stay competitive?
So having an updated customer relationship management system is important. I've seen some stuff out there that's been really, really impressive. There's a group called Maxify that has some software that I think is really cool. It does some good things, and of course there are a bunch of others. But uh, these platforms, along with the technology that gives us within those platforms the insight into the portfolio, right, into the work. I think the analytics is the biggest transformer of the collections industry right now from a management standpoint. When you have the data that you need to be able to utilize skill-based routing to make sure that you're making the correct efforts at the correct times in the correct ways. That analytics, if you can train yourself to read that data, it will give you a lot of insight into how to reach new heights in your revenue. But yeah, the technology gives us the analytics that we need to be able to be much more effective managers. That's for sure.
Mm. So there's definitely, I mean, analytics and data. I think the exciting thing about that is how instead of reading spreadsheets, which of course are still around, but it's the way that data can be manipulated into graphs and visuals, so that you can really get to grips with it. If you're not great at spreadsheets, you can really kind of visualize the database that you're looking at. And so yeah, there's a lot of tools out there, isn't there, to really help us. From where I started back in the day, when I remember Excel was the thing that came in. I mean, that's
Right.
So we, obviously there's a piece around technology, but obviously the other strong piece, I guess, that you must continue to work on year is training and how to keep your teams updated with the technology, systems, regulation. So what does training look like for you as a manager? How do you implement innovative training to enhance the performance of your teams?
Yeah, I like that question. So just like software, people's knowledge needs regular updating, right?
Mm,
So, regular short training sessions that reinforce, like I said, the fundamentals, I believe is the best way to go about it. And you have to look inside your own group to see what are the best ways that they take that training. Is it a visual presentation? Is it you giving them a lecture? Is it sitting side by side with them and watching them work? I found that that's one of the most effective ways that a manager can assess how a collector is doing, is if you
yeah.
just sit with them and observe what it is that they do. And you will see, as a manager, you should be able to see where there might be some inefficiencies, and you can make those small corrections, right? And when you do that and you make those small corrections on a regular basis, then it becomes it seems like less of a chore, or less like you're kind of coming down on the collector, and more like you're supporting them and you're showing them a better way, right? And everybody likes a better way, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think those short regular training sessions, and making sure that you figure out how your collector learns, right? Everybody is different. Some people you can give it to them in a readable format. They can read it, comprehend it, and apply it immediately. Some people need to see you do it first, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just depends. But I think that training should be at the top of the list of things that you do on a regular basis. That goes along with reviewing collectors' work. If you pick 5 random accounts out of any collector's file, and you look at what they're doing on those 5, that's what they're doing on all of them. And
Yeah.
so you can manage to that. You can take those 5 and you can give them tips on those 5 accounts, and that will carry over into the rest of the work that they're doing. So it doesn't have to be tedious, this, line by line review. Just take a small sampling and then show that to them and give them some feedback. And that's training, right? So,
Yeah.
if you do that regularly enough, they become accustomed to it. And then what you'll find is if you miss a day and you don't do it, then they're asking you, hey, where are my reviews? What happened? So, that's where you want to get to when it comes to training.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I completely understand that, and I'm sure. Do you still do that one-to-one training with your people? Do you still sit with them and?
Every week, each one of my collectors gets a 30-minute productivity session with me. We sit down, they bring me anything that they have that they need me to review or they have a question about, and I go through their inventory with them and I highlight any gaps in the work, and I make sure that they're clear on what the expectation is. And then them having that 30 minutes each week, that gives them an opportunity to get the support that they need from me. And in addition to that, I still do reviews outside of those sessions. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a hands-on thing. You can't manage from a distance in collections. You have to be there for your people. You have to
Yeah.
provide them support. And when they feel supported, they will respond well to any task that you put them up to.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think that sounds like something that many people could emulate if they're not already doing that. So good for you. And in terms of now, of course, you've got a team, I know, but of course you're working in a much bigger environment now. So I mean, in terms of optimizing call center management, and improving efficiency, getting debtor engagement up and at the right kind of tone of voice, what are some of your proven sort of techniques for that?
So 2 things come to mind, right? Keep things simple. Don't put a lot of moving parts and obstacles in front of your collectors. Keep it as simple as possible. Like I said, this what we do hasn't changed very much when it comes to the phone call. The phone call it's always been the same. The elements of the
Yeah.
phone call have not changed, right? You may have to add a little compliance here or there, but the element of the phone call has not changed. So you want to keep things as simple as possible. And then put your best people on your best product, that skill-based routing I was talking about, right? Make sure that your best paper is being worked by your best collectors, right? And then you train everyone else up to that level, make them rise to that level where they can all work it as well. So I think that optimizes your output for sure. It gets people in the right mindset as well. It drives people to be the best that they can be.
Yeah, I'm loving the practical suggestions that you're giving out. I don't even think you realize you're giving them out in this interview. Maybe you do, but it's great to hear a manager talking at this sort of level rather than, kind of, big picture, and I can see that you obviously understand big picture, but you're also working at a granular level as well with your own people, which is great. So in my business, I deal with difficult debtors, and I'm at the very sharp end of collections. You're at a point, I think I'm right in saying you're in pre-legal collections and then moving into litigation. Is that right? Have I got that
Right. Yeah,
right?
we handle it from the beginning to the end, all the way to post-judgment efforts as well. So the
Okay,
entire
post
process.
judgment. Okay. Well, you and I will have some long conversations about that in Orlando. What the American experience like is a post judgment, but handling difficult debtors and maintaining a positive relationship with them, showing them that you're a professional organization, a professional team. How do you handle that?
So post judgment world, you know all about that. And if you're garnishing bank accounts and wages, and placing liens on people's property, you're going to get some pretty irate debtors at times, right?
Mm,
And so I think, it's we have a relationship with the debtor, right? Whether people realize that or not, like it's a relationship. It might be a short-lived relationship, it might be a long-lived relationship, depending on the circumstances. But if you've ever talked to a debtor, you know that you probably being a third party, a stranger, you might know more about how they really feel about things in life than even their own family, right?
mhm, mhm.
And so, you know, you have to make sure that the debtor feels heard. Because when a person is upset, they need somebody to hear what they're saying and do something about it, right? And in a lot of cases, sometimes they just need to be heard, but in a lot of cases, they need someone to do something.
Yeah,
And so if you allow them to be heard, I have a one of the guys that I work with. His name, I give him a shout out. His name is Greg Northington. He calls it emptying the bucket. Let the debtor empty the bucket. Ask them some questions about their situation and what happened. And usually that's it. If you just ask that two-word phrase, hey man, what happened? You were paying on time for a long time, everything was going well. What happened? If you allow that debtor to empty the bucket, get it all out, because nobody's been listening to them up to this point, and maybe they just even haven't even had an opportunity to talk about it, right?
yeah,
But you let them empty the bucket, they feel heard, and then you ask questions to get to a solution. And I think
yeah.
that's the easiest way to do it. It's not rocket science. Just treat people the way that you would want someone to treat you if you were frustrated and in a difficult situation.
I think that's entirely right, isn't it? We all want to be treated as human beings, and we all want to be respected.
That's right.
And but I love the phrase "empty the bucket." I think that's spot on, and it's just whole, with your headset, just listening to what it is that people want to tell you, and
Yeah,
then because you probably as collectors have part of the solution in your hand, because you now have a much better idea of their financial situation. You can probably see a way through for them that perhaps nobody else has bothered to help them with to this point.
that's right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see the value of that. Okay, well, that's a catchphrase, empty the bucket. Tell your guy that was a great phrase to use.
I
Uh,
will.
and in terms of you know bigger picture stuff, um, strategies for managing debt portfolios. So you've got great collectors, you've got systems, you've got technology. You're handling many thousands of accounts. What's your approach to maximizing the value and minimizing the risk of turning those accounts into cash?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. That the decisioning process for placement of portfolios or handling of portfolios, it again, you should, I would say, follow the advice of placing the right paper with the right group, right? So if you're a debt buyer and you've purchased some commercial merchant cash advance loans, right? Or merchant cash advances, they're not loans, or business loans. And you want to liquidate that portfolio, you need to place it with someone who has that expertise that you're looking for. Don't give it to a consumer agency where all they do is work on the dialer. They're not going to know what to do with that portfolio. They're not going to work it effectively. And making sure that you're doing that vetting will help you maximize the portfolio. And the other thing is, that I think people maybe don't think about as much is that there is a resale market for those portfolios. So squeeze as much juice as is appropriate, right? And don't squeeze, because if you bring it out, then you don't have an exit strategy. It just sits, and you have to put just gets older and older. And if you put it back in front of your collectors, they're not gonna be very motivated to collect on it. So you want to make sure that Don't wring the portfolio out. Leave a little life in it, and then you can resell it, and that's your exit strategy.
Mm. Again, it will be interesting to hear you and your American colleagues talking about debt purchase and buying and selling of portfolios, because you guys, and I hope my UK colleagues won't mind, but it started in America, and so you guys are the experts at this, and there are other parts of the world which are still not, they're still newbies to this whole kind of market.
Sure.
So the opportunities for Americans to take their expertise and others to different parts of the world is there. And one of the points of Congress really is to connect up credit professionals in different parts of the world and see what business opportunities they can make from their existing operations elsewhere. America's a big country, but it's universal. What goes on in America can be replicated elsewhere. So opportunities for business, right, is a great reason to come to Congress.
Absolutely.
And so that's a really fantastic conversation. I wonder what your predictions are for the future of the collections industry, both in America and worldwide. What do you think post-pandemic? Is it more of the same, or is AI going to completely change the landscape? What do you say?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think we probably could spend another hour, talking about that. But I think that the industry, as it has done in the past, will embrace the technology advances. I think AI will become a large part, of what we do. Particularly in the international community, all of the regulatory bodies will be looking to keep a close eye on how that develops, so that they can make sure that we're still doing things in an ethical way, and make sure that that the consumers and the business owners in the commercial space that they're not being mistreated, and that they're given the help that they need, right? Because that ultimately is what it boils down to, is that we're really trying to help. We're really trying to help people. We're trying to help our respective economies to do well, because that's good for, that's for the greater good, right? And so as things continue to evolve, the industry will evolve. I think that AI is definitely a space that you want to keep an eye on, how it impacts collections, and social media as well. I think that, there's going to continue to be some evolution there. And so I'm looking forward to a bright future. I'm looking forward to the international communities connecting more, because I think that it's not just about the UK or just about the US. It's really about the global community, and making sure that as things move along, we pull the rest of the rest of the world along with us. You guys are doing some very interesting work over there. I see you on YouTube, and I love it. And your episodes are very engaging. And so I think that the technology will continue to push us forward. And I think that the industry will just keep growing. I mean, that's been around since the beginning of time. It's not going anywhere. And so I think we have a bright future.
Yeah, well, I share your optimism, and I do love the fact that the Congress, which we are now part of, is a global credit community, as opposed to country by country. And you and I met on LinkedIn. I found you through one of my good contacts on LinkedIn, and was looking for credit professionals, and came across you, Henry. And had I not been involved in the Congress, I wouldn't have found you. and then we had a conversation, and now you're a speaker at the Congress. So, and we're doing this interview. So, I mean, you know, for my mind, just finding credit professionals such as yourself with vast amounts of experience, hands-on management experience, it's really important to be able to share that with other parts of the world and to connect you to those people in not so much an association which is affiliated to one part of debt to another, but this broad church where,
right.
you know, we're all involved in some aspect of credit, and we're learning from each other. So I really do value your contribution today, and thank you so much for coming on Shergroup on the Sofa. It's
You're
great
very
to
welcome.
hear you.
I'm honored, Claire. I really appreciate it. And you can have me anytime. Anytime you want to talk, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, well, I'm going to see you in October in person. So I'm
Yep.
looking forward to that. I'll just give you a shout out for your company, which is
Yes,
aubreythrasher.com.
ma'am. That's
Is that
right.
right?
Aubrey Thrasher. Yep.
And Henry Veasley III is
That's
on LinkedIn. Please join him on his LinkedIn profile. You can see from just talking to him today what a tremendous amount of experience he's got.
So
And
Claire,
yeah,
we have on LinkedIn, I have a newsletter that has
yes,
close to
yes.
1,000 subscribers. It's Debt Collection Insights. Feel free to take a look at some of our articles, and we share information. It's for everyone in the accounts receivables management industry, from the collector in the cubicle to VPs and C levels. There's information there for everyone. So thank you for the opportunity to plug that.
Yeah, no,
Debt
that's very,
Collection
very
Insights.
important. Debt collection insights. We will get that connected to the Congress newsletter as well. And perhaps we could put that on the Congress website as well, give you a little plug on there as well. So
That would
you've
be
got
great.
and a link back to the website. So for everyone else, I'm sorry about my voice today. I've been in the UK in the damp, and I got a cold, so I've lost my voice a little bit, but not enough to lose it completely, thank goodness. Don't forget, shergroup.com is our website. We are incredibly privileged to be hosting the World Credit Congress on behalf of the steering committee this year out of Orlando, Florida. If you haven't been to Margaritaville, come on down and see us. It's a beautiful spot. It's going to be a great Congress with a lot of very interesting leading commentators like Henry, talking to our MC, Harry Strouser of ACA International, from which we get fantastic support. You can check out Shergroup and on all its channels. It's on every social media channel, as is the World Credit Congress itself at its website. And it also has Facebook and Insta and LinkedIn. So whichever way you cut it, me and Henry, we're flying the flag for social media, technology, and just getting more of you involved and enjoying being in credit. Okay. So thanks, Henry. Great to meet you. See you in Orlando. Bye-bye,
See you soon.
everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Shergroupie podcast. To join our Shergroupie community, subscribe by going to our website at www.shergroup.com. Keep up with the latest Shergroup news across all our main channels, including YouTube, LinkedIn, and across all social media. Stay connected and begin building more business relationships.